Welcome, welcome, welcome to this Venus Alchemy Evening Star seventh gate crown chakra, where we are reclaiming our divinity. I'm Kaylin Castell. I'm here with Tammy Brunk. And as always, we have so much wonderful, amazing, fun information to share with you. And we're so excited.
Yes, yay. We're so excited to be at the crown chakra gate and entering the seventh gate of initiation. The completion in many cases, though not always, of the cycle, where Inanna is entering the seventh gate. She's reclaiming her crown.
Yeah, occasionally there can be an eighth gate. And of course, when that happens, there'll be something that we share about that. But, you know, sometimes there's not. So, yeah, very cool. So, yeah, she's reclaiming her crown. And just these are just some different images of crowns, perhaps, that because we're going to be talking a little bit about how you can make your own as we go along and do a coronation on.
So the Sanskrit name for the crown chakra is Sahasrara. I'm not sure that I'm saying that correctly, but which means 1,000-petaled lotus. And it connects to mystical oneness, unity, consciousness, self-realization, gratitude, grace, trust. And even as I'm describing this, just feel this in your body. Just experience how these words, how these sensations feel, knowing that these are energies that you will be integrating more and more into yourself over the course of the month. Knowing that everything and everyone is essentially connected, transcending the small self, so life is filled with joy, serenity, and peace. Access to the Akashic records where divine intelligence, aka the 0-point field or unified field, underlies all existence. So when it's healthy, this chakra gives off high vibrational energy, activating collective consciousness and receiving energy in return to sustain physical life.
That's so cool. It's like that gives out and takes back and gives out and whatever. And so it connects the divine with the physical.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. And we can how many times have we worked with this? But it's like every time you get another layer.
Yes, indeed. It's so true. And I love how that keeps happening. Of course, you know, both Tammy and I have a lot of archetypes on our charts that we just love the continual expansion and deepening. Yeah, so the balance that seventh chakra has all the energy systems actively healthy. So that's a very essential piece. It's also, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that as we go along as well. And then it's also connected with our essential divine nature. So and it's having a conscious connection with that essential divine nature. So that's one of the things we're wanting to cultivate and really pay attention to and have awareness around. Do we have that? And if not, then why not? And how can we balance that further as we're reclaiming this particular chakra? It also has total access to the unconscious and the subconscious. We often think we're pretty connected to our conscious, but sometimes what we are thinking consciously or experiencing consciously is coming from our unconscious and subconscious that needs attention. So a balanced seventh chakra, crown chakra, gives us that access to those places. It's also where the body meets the soul from the inside out. And again, everything is connected. It gives and receives this life-sustaining energy, uplifting the collective consciousness. It's where death and eternal life meet beyond time. Access to the 0-point field or the Akashic field is another way that can be said, where anything and everything is possible. We also have more trust and perhaps there's trust in ourselves, trust in life, trust in the divine plan that there is for all life. Because I know sometimes, this happens to me anyway, I have moments where I'm like, what the hell? How could this be part of the divine plan? My practice has been lately to keep coming back to that point of trust, you know, like, okay, I don't get it. I'm not seeing how this is part of the divine plan, but, you know, hopefully. Anyway, and so also having faith and trust in our ability to create miracles and gratitude, serenity, joy, and deep peace. Ooh, I like that so much. And many will say that the sixth chakra is the seat of enlightenment, where we experience enlightenment. And the seventh chakra is the seat of liberation. And we're going to talk a little more about liberation as we go along.
Beautiful. So some ways to balance the crown chakra are, of course, meditation. So that might be walking meditation, sitting meditation, dancing, whatever works for you. I think part of it is just to find a place to go into that stillness so we can really deeply listen, connect to our higher selves, and connect to all of those states that Kaylin and I were talking about. Seva, selfless service, is another beautiful way to connect to the unified field where we are all connected. So it doesn't have to just be sitting on your meditation cushion, although that may be where you choose to spend more of your time, but it may be that you find that joy, that bliss, that connection in serving at a homeless shelter, or tutoring immigrant kids, or whatever it is that you choose to do, or being part of a community garden. That can connect you as well. Organic ginger, garlic, onion, coconut, or some foods that connect you. A guided visualization, many of us like that. And to be honest, we have some really good guided visualizations that Kaylin takes you through. And also there's so many available online that have to do with the crown chakra I've been finding. Others that, there are a lot of things you can find if that helps you to get more rooted and grounded. Invoking the violet flame, which is such a powerful practice and so appropriate at the crown chakra, because the color violet is one of the colors associated with this crown, and that is where we work with that energy. Peaceful, quiet surroundings can be really helpful to anchor into this. Spending time in nature, and then some of the gems and minerals are, pretty much any of the purple or clear crystals, including amethyst, tanzanite, diamond, sugilite. I'm wearing sugilite today. Purple fluorite, which works for 6th and 7th. Clear quartz crystal, selenite, moonstone, kyanite, and I'll say too, the Lemurian crystal wands are really, really powerful for working with the 7th chakra also. And essential oils include frankincense, myrrh, lotus, and lavender. And some of those are more about helping to balance if you're overactivated, and some of those are a little bit more about bringing in more of that energy, but they really help. So Kaylin, do you want to talk? I love that you brought in blue kyanite here. Do you want to talk more about that, since you found that?
Well, I just thought it was fascinating that blue kyanite, even though it's not lavender or purple or whatever, but it is seen as a stone that can help balance all the chakras, but especially the crown chakra. So definitely a good one to work with. And I have a kyanite wand that's probably maybe about this long, and you can use it for cutting cords and doing all kinds of things to help bring up the energy. And the other piece, and because we talked about this so much at the 6th chakra, the brow chakra, that kyanite stimulates that pineal gland and helps activate our dormant psychic abilities as well. So definitely a good stone to work with during this gate, and even probably any of them. You could use it at any of them, any of the gates.
Absolutely. Awesome. And you also, I don't know, most of you have probably seen the chakra, like the stones that have all the chakra stones included. I have a little necklace that is like that. So that's also something that's fun this month, is to, I often have a candle that I will put on my altar as a way of refreshing it, that has the colors of the different chakras. But at this point, I might put on a purple one, but I might just as soon do rainbow colors. Because once we get to this point, yes, we're working with the crown chakra colors, but we're also acknowledging that we have now fully integrated all of the chakras. So you might, again, that's why, working with blue kyanite is so cool, because it integrates all of them. And again, something like this, I don't know if you could see it, but.
Yeah, I could see it a little bit, but I'm sure people have an idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so actually you can activate prana at any of the chakra gates, but especially we want to pay attention to it at the crown chakra, because it helps connect us. And I just love this kind of swirly energy here, that's showing how that's, prana is an energy. It's a subtle energy. And the crown chakra is probably the most subtle energy of all the chakras. So if we think of prana as high vibration, universal life force energy, if we don't have prana, breath is very much connected to prana. If we're not breathing, we're not alive. for very long,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, and I love this idea that the prana is constant movement. So basically, we're constantly breathing. We're either breathing in or breathing out. We can hold our breath for a time, but even so, that energy is moving in our body, even when we're holding our breath. So it is the source of all life. We don't have prana. We don't have, and if we have low vibrational energy or low prana, then we don't have a very vibrant life. So activating prana can give us more vibrancy in our life. And of course, some of the ways you can do that is through the breath. There's pranayama. Prana is in the word pranayama. So, and it's ways of focusing the breath and activating the prana through the breath. Of course, meditation and yoga and daily prayers and positive pranic foods. So there's a bunch of foods that are listed here that help to increase prana. And then there's some that decrease prana. And these are things we've talked about all through the different chakras, descending, ascending, all of that. But it's, sometimes worth just revisiting what some of them are. So anything raw, fresh, organic, fruits and vegetables are going to be definitely increasing prana. Anything that's processed foods, that's refined sugar or coffee or caffeinated teas, artificial sweeteners, drugs, meat is definitely a negative prana process. And so I've been moving more and more towards being a vegetarian in the last few months, and find that my life force, my energy is much higher as I've been doing that. So something just to consider, that you might want to find ways of activating and increasing your own prana in whatever way works for you. So this is, we're entitled to miracles, is in the Course in Miracles. The 77th lesson on the Course of Miracles, that's the title. We're entitled to miracles. I love that. And so I've been activating this a lot. And one of the things that happened for me is that every morning I was taking my walk. This was for several years. And when we were living where we were before, we moved last year. And I was activating miracles. I am a miracle. I'm entitled to miracles. Miracles are on their way to me. There's different ways you can activate that. And we suddenly got to move into our house that we now call Casa Milagro, the House of Miracles, because it was such a miracle how we got it. So there's many different things that activating miracles and being conscious of, and especially at the crown chakra, being able to tune into what those are. And we did share this in the brow chakra as well, because these two chakras tend to be connected into the miracle place. And I love what Dorothy Morrison says, that magic and miracles is not a practice. It's a living, breathing web of energy that, with our permission, can encase our every action. So this is the possibility. And this picture, this image here of this double rainbow, and there's like this pyramid-like mountain lit up in the sun behind the saguaro cactus, I took in our very first Venus alchemy class. I don't remember which gate now, but it was this miracle. Like, I was having this whole miraculous experience. So that's why I included the image here. So it hopefully can inspire you. And I, for me, it was like I was calling on the grandmothers, and there's a song by Lisa Teal. It's Grandmothers Weaving the Rainbow, Grandmothers Weaving My Life, the Threads of My Life. So, and so I went for this hike, and suddenly, in a time of year that it doesn't usually rain in Tucson, the clouds came in, the rain happened, and the rainbows appeared. So that was like a miracle.
So beautiful.
Yeah. So anyway, so I've written an article, We're Entitled to Miracles. If people want to look more at that, they can do that. But the point is just really focus your intention. How are you a miracle? How are there miracles in your life? It's based on a point of view. So, how are we cultivating that point of view so that we have more miracles in our life? Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
So, in related to that, at the seventh chakra gate, we can really connect into the power of blessing. And I just love this quote by Sandra Ingerman, which is basically, the first part of it in general, that people do not know that their function as human beings, and it never occurs to them, is that their job is actually to bless the world. And I just love that idea so much, because it's very much reflective of what Kaylin's saying. It has to do with bringing our awareness to the world around us, to paying attention to the sunrise, to the sunset, maybe coming to understand and have an intimate relationship with the plants, the wild plants, the animals that are in your environment, with the seasons and the cycles, and so that you encounter those things from a place of just wonder and awe and love. So in her way of saying it, to bless means becoming conscious that you are alive and that spirit is flowing through you. And then this realization allows you to see that spirit is flowing all around, and that what is coming through you is coming through everything, and that it is all the same. Just such a seventh chakra awareness, that we extend this beyond the unified field of consciousness. It's not just with other people. This is much bigger than that. It's also with all beings. And so when you see or feel or sense this, you say something like, I am spirit, let us awake. Let us awake, spirit, and everything I see. And I just love that. I've definitely done that sometimes, connecting with Venus, connecting with the stars in the sky. At the time that we were doing this video, we just had the Perseid meteor showers. And so if there's a meteor shower that you're seeing, it's like just feel and sense the spirit in that and connect that to the spirit inside. So you can look around and bless with your hands and arms outstretched. And again, there's so many places in this video where that, to me, and lately I've just done that a lot, just wanting to put my hands up, and just bless. It's just so powerful to feel that energy streaming out into the world around us. Waking everything up to the incredible power of spirit that flows through everything with great passion and peace. And I just also love those two words together, because they do feel to me like the most alive energy around this chakra. It's passionate, it's alive, and it's also profoundly peaceful. So in response, everything receives a boost. Everything celebrates, everything is grateful, and everything forgives its slumber. I actually think that was forgets its slumber. But I love that. It's that feeling that we can help bring things alive, and in fact, that the world needs us. There's so many things where in my life, with my previous life as a wildlife biologist and as somebody concerned so much with ecocide and everything that was happening to the earth, I thought at one time that human beings were nothing but a curse. And to me, it feels like such powerful, beautiful, potent healing to remember that actually, in fact, it's our place to be an extension of the earth that is conscious, that is awake, that is filled with love, that can be this mirror to the beauty of the world around us and help make it come alive just with our awake presence. And
I do think it is forgives its slumber, because when we're asleep, we're not doing this. We're not doing these things. So we're forgiving ourselves for having been asleep and not aware, basically. I think is what she's referring to there.
Well, it's interesting because when she's saying everything, a lot of what she's talking about, it's everything in the world, but much also what she's talking about is the natural world. And to me, that's also fascinating, because it's like, what does that mean for a tree to be slumbering? And so then a human being sees it and feels and experiences love, and maybe that also helps wake it up at another level. To me, that's such a beautiful feeling. I love that. So if you want to add a little something else to your blessing, you may bestow upon everything that you are experiencing or witnessing the gift of well-being from the bottom of your heart. I just love that.
That's so great. And I love this image of, reaching up and blessing. She's got the turtle in her hands and the dolphins right there, and all the, the animals are coming around to receive the blessing that she's offering.
Yeah. I love, that's the world I want to live in. That's the earth I want to live in, where we remember our connections like that. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And I think that, Cami, you and I, and probably a lot of people listening to this already do, but we want more.
We want more. Yeah. I mean, we want more. And I do feel like that there, in terms of our relationship with the trees and the plants and the animals, the creation, that even though we already live that way, that even more is possible, and even more miracles in that realm will appear when more of us connect into that.
Yes. So, I think this is one you might have done, Tammy.
Okay. So basically, I think part of what I wanted to share with this is just that I think for some of us, I'm sure everyone listening is coming from a different point of perspective. in terms of how they were raised or what their connection to spirituality was. And Kaylin and I are both really, it's so awesome in so many ways how we hold a different perspective and a different experience, right? So my experience was my parents were primitive Baptists, very traditional, very old school, not even musical instruments in the church. Men and women sat on different sides of the aisle. So old King James Version of the Bible, just very much country people. So there was a certain beauty and also a lot of cultural conditioning that's quite heavy that I was raised with.
And my parents were Rosicrucians. We went to Unity Church. We got involved in transcendental meditation. They were on a spiritual path, and they had a very much expanded perspective that I grew up with. And I mean, I did go to Bible school in the summer because my mom didn't want to have to deal with us all day. So I got a little bit of that, and had to unlearn a little bit of that. But the part that, you can go to hell kind of thing. But but for the most part, I had a very unique upbringing based on having parents who were very open to different perspectives.
Right. Yeah. And that came with my older sister, that I opened to higher perspectives from that. But I also had a lot of kind of negative perception around Christianity and prayer as I was liberating myself from those systems. And as I was beginning to look at things differently, I went through a number of years where even though I was connected to the divine in my own way, I've always been a powerful seeker. I didn't pray for many years. And so I remember I had a dear friend who, she's an intuitive, and every time she would open her readings, her sessions, she would open with these beautiful prayers, and I just felt them just come through my whole body. And that woke within me, again, this longing to integrate prayer into my life again. And it was huge. And I do that now with my readings. I open and I end with prayer, with invocation. So I just love these quotes. You want to say something, Kaylin?
Well, I was just going to say, and you are really good at doing those prayers in the moment.
Thank you. I love to do them when I feel centered and sourced, and it's such a beautiful thing. Thank you. So yeah, there are 100 ways to kneel and kiss the ground. So any of these ways you connect are beautiful. And for I've learned that every heart will get what it prays for most, which is powerful. And it connects me also to the idea that this is a little different, but it's like worry is prayer for what you don't want. So this is like the opposite of that. Prayer is really invoking what you want. Anyway, so I'm not going to read these, but these are some beautiful, a beautiful poem by Mary Oliver, and then metta or loving kindness meditation, which I've gone through periods of my life where I'd start my day this way. May I be peaceful, may I be happy, may I be well, and so forth. It's also something that you can use if you want to practice that.
And, from a conscious language perspective, instead of saying, may I, because it's like you're requesting, and that's okay, you can do that. But you might say, I am peaceful, I am happy, I am well, as if you already have it. You're claiming it as yours. And here we are claiming at the crown chakra. So that just might be another way of, all beings, and just say, instead of saying may, just say all beings are peaceful, all beings are happy, all beings are, are well, that kind of thing. So that's just another way. There's so many ways we can do this, and it's really not right or wrong. It's really what's coming from your heart.
Well, and I'll just mention when you say that, Kaylin, I just think it's really interesting for any one of us, depending on the cycle we're personally in, depending on the phase of life, depending on our path, our spiritual path at the given moment. I know for myself that that's been a big place of a question mark. Like, to what degree do I, in my prayer, say, I work with a lot of Native people. It's very humble. It's very humble. You would never say, well, that's not true. There's that, but, you have an advanced shaman who would say, yes, it's already raining, right? And so it is. So there's both perspectives in indigenous thinking as well. But in more traditional perspectives, it's very much about being reverential and may it and inviting rather than come. So in the moment, how your heart speaks is what I think is important.
Yeah, exactly. So this is an awesome quote from the book Relentless Love by Edwin Carl Smith. And he says, basically, do not worry about living your dream. End the habit of imposing a goal on your life. What we achieve is less important than how we live. Life is a play, not a race. Our goals express mostly out of our fear about what life will fail to provide. I've found this really interesting because I've been practicing and, having some intentions, but keeping it really open. And sometimes people are very specific about their goals, but it is always helpful if you're going to do goals to say this or something better, because you don't want to narrow down that possibility. You want it to be whatever you can imagine, but maybe something even more amazing than what you can imagine is possible for you if you keep the space open for that. So love is the source of all worthy dreams and the power to live them. So let faith connect you to your body's original and only intent, and let your dreams emerge from there. As you surrender to the passion of love, you will find anything is possible and all good things inevitable. Yes. Love that.
Yay. Beautiful. I love that. And I love,
so
yeah,
go ahead. Oh, no. All right. So, we talked about the seventh chakra being the seat of liberation. And so one of the goddesses to bring into this story is Lady Liberty. And of course, we do have the Statue of Liberty that was given to the United States by the French. And she is a beacon of that, and that symbol of liberty for us. And she is modeled after the Roman goddess Libertas, actually. Interesting. And so when I was thinking about this, I'm like, what does liberty really mean? I mean, I know what I think it means, but what does it mean according to the dictionary? Action that's chosen, not forced. You're not like being told you have to go and do something. You're choosing to go and do something. You have the freedom to choose what you're going to do. Being the author of your own way of life, free to choose how you live as long as you do no harm to others. Because we can say, if we look back in history and there's all these conquering, warring, people who are trying to take over or do whatever, so they're doing great harm. They maybe felt they were free to choose that, but that's not really what we're talking about. It's like, how do we choose what's going to be supportive to us and to all of life, not just, me or my family or my tribe or whatever that is. So, and then there's broken chains around her feet, and we can see here's her foot and here's the chain, and so it's basically symbolizing breaking the chains of bondage, of oppression, of tyranny. That's what she symbolizes. That's what she's standing in the harbor, in New York, symbolizing, and we're kind of still far away from that, but hopefully we're getting closer. We maybe don't even know how much closer we are. But she also has her foot forward. So this suggests she's moving on toward her destiny. And that's what we need to do, is we need to forgive all of that bondage, tyranny, and oppression of the past and move forward so we can be liberated. And if we're not in the place of forgiving it, then we're not going to be liberated.
I just so love you brought that in, and the picture of the chains and everything, because the other piece of the seventh chakra is that we're talking about miracles. So these changes can happen in the twinkling of an eye. We don't know how fast this could shift. Yeah. So that's so exciting.
Yes. And I love that twinkling of an eye reminder. It can happen really fast. And we don't know how, we've been doing whatever our work has been, and, maybe for lifetimes. So but that's something, you get to a certain sort of threshold, and suddenly in a twinkling of an eye, it all shifts and changes. So Anyway, so what I'm sharing here is from this book, The Secret Life of Lady Liberty, Goddess in the New World. And she is a light bearer. She's holding the light of knowledge, wisdom, and freedom in her hand. She is reminding us that it's through our self-awareness and connection to our divinity that we are liberated. And she also, in her hand here, is holding the book of knowledge, and that, she has access to, and that we can access through her. She's also, the book is considered a keystone that reminds us that the knowledge and wisdom contained here is really powerful, and it has the keys to our liberation. And then what I love is she has these 7 rays on her crown, so representing the 7 chakras, and that, that these 7 rays really have a lot to do with new ideas and the freedom to creatively express who we are. and the opportunity to do that from a place of liberation, for, of liberty, having the liberty to make those choices as long as we're doing no harm. Right? So this is the, what's said, on the Statue of Liberty. It was written by Emma Lazarus. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to be free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless tempest tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. And I love this image because she's got the sun right on her hand. Anyway, but many who work with the Ascended Masters say that Lady Liberty, or the Goddess of Liberty, really originated in Atlantis, and that there's an etheric temple over New York and Manhattan particularly, and there's an etheric altar that rests over the Statue of Liberty, and that it was considered a temple of the sun, like this etheric temple of the sun that was created there long time ago, and that this temple has the three powers, the power of three: love, wisdom, and power. And power isn't the power over others, it's the power of love, and wisdom coming from love, and love being, the essence or the foundation of where the other two powers also manifest from. When they manifest from love, then we know we're in alignment with the divine intent that is for all of us, for each of us. So, anything more you want to say about that?
I love that you did this research, and I think it's just so powerful. I love it. Thank you. It's such a good time to be thinking about that and energizing that, and it just gave me chills. So thank you, Kaylin.
You're welcome.
So love and light for uplifting and healing. So I'll just say recently, and this is just a time, perhaps at some point when people listen to this video, it'll be a time when everything's really kind of chill and things aren't really intense. But at the time of recording, we can hope. But at the time of this recording, it is a particularly intense time. And so I think for myself, just yesterday, I was having a conversation with my sister where I was just like, oh my gosh, like there's so many people in my life who are really needing a lot of support, who have experienced a lot of loss or a lot of upheaval. And I feel overwhelmed because I want to be able to be there to send prayers, to be in connection, but I feel maxed. I feel totally maxed out. And that reminded me of a practice of the ways that, and again, my dear friend Julie Brown taught me, which is that anytime you have some kind of an issue, or it can be like a relationship, it can be someone who's suffering, that you can really send them love and light. And you can, it's not a new idea, but I like to visualize it. Like part of what it is it's instead of unconsciously taking the energy into your body and feeling like you need your body to heal it, it's like it's separate from your body. You're actually imagining that you are giving it to the light, that you see the light, you see divine love light as this kind of transformational energy, and you give it to them. You really hand it over. So you can send blessings of divine light and love to your physical body for healing, your mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies, the earth, the sky, cosmos, a challenging situation. And the way I'll do that sometimes is I just see that situation playing out. Like, somebody might be really sick, so I see them really sick, or I just see myself and this individual having a frustrated conversation, whatever that is, and then I just give it to the light. And so for your loved ones, make sure you don't have an agenda when you send love and light to them. So if you're sending light to someone, this is just, we're powerful beings, and not as powerful maybe as we think sometimes, but to always have this respect, ultimate profound respect for the other person's learning path also, but to send them.
We don't know what's best for somebody. And I just will say that, some years ago when I was going through my first divorce, I was working for this company, and some of the people were big from the Christian perspective, and they started doing prayers for me so that my marriage wouldn't end.
Right.
It made my life so much harder. And when I found out that they had been doing that, I was able to then counter that effect, but it sent me into a tailspin. Initially. And I was like, oh, this is why you don't have an agenda. You pray for what's the highest, you send love and light for what's highest and best for others,
Absolutely.
not what you think is highest and best. You just give it to the divine, and the divine knows what's highest and best.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so essential. And it's also healthy. It's emotionally healthy, because this is to invoke magic and healing and love, but it's also, we do all these things for ourselves so that we are in an energetic right relationship with that thing or that other person. And we are training ourselves and we're uplifting our vibration by seeing things as they can be. And then we operate in the world from that place. I love what you're saying, Kaylin, because I've experienced that same thing. And I actually, in fact, currently, I feel as if there are many people praying for me to not be on my current path, honestly. And so that's something I have to actively counter as well. And that can be part of what we're here to be, warriors of light, to really also maintain our sovereignty. And that can be part of it. And part of it is by being clear in our own ways of prayer. So how to send divine love and light can be, again, you can do it at any time. Right now, we can just do it. It's really simple. But if you want to be more focused, you can just create a sacred, uninterrupted space, a specific altar. And I share in the next slide that we'll go to in a second, one way I've done this. You might smudge. I know for me, lighting a candle and smudging actually really helps me in a simple way to just get there. And then you invite help from your spirit guides and allies. I actually always see the grandmothers surrounding me. Anytime I invoke sacred space, I always see them around me. They're so comforting. And then all my animal guardians and guides, and sometimes other, divine presence, the goddess in her forms. And then you imagine pure love and light entering your crown chakra, filling your entire body. Ask permission if you have a specific intention. I can't recall. Okay, so yeah, if you're saying, I would like to send love and light to my brother, ask his higher self. If it's something specific, you can ask, is it okay with your higher self that I connect with you in this way? If you're sending a really focused prayer, you can really connect with that person's higher self, and you might get a no.
And they, even that person may have asked you, will you please pray for me so that I get better, or, hold me up in the, so maybe I can get over this, whatever it is, like if it's an illness or a traumatic situation or whatever that is. And yet it may still not even be, even if they've given you specific permission that way.
Their personality did, yeah.
That did, exactly. Right.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And it's interesting. This is such a rich topic, right? I just remember when my dad was dying, my sister and I went to stay with them, and what was happening between the two of them was really hard to see. It felt from our perspective like she was being controlling, and my mom, and it was just, we did a deep prayer, and we asked their permission and the energies of the spirits of the land at our parents' property, for permission to do the work. And there was a clear no. It was like, no, absolutely not. They have their contract, and it's none of your business. And I will always remember that. Butt out, right? Oh my gosh. And it was so powerful. Right? Because it was so good, because it was surprising. I think in that moment, that helped dissolve for me a certain codependent pattern that was generations deep. It was like, so it was taking a burden off. It was like, no, this is bigger than you. You're not in charge here. And I still get goosebumps, and I want to cry when I think about it now, because it's like, thank the goddess, we're not in charge of everything. So permission.
I'm getting goosebumps too.
Yeah. It's so I love that you told that story about your husband, because I do think for myself personally, and probably for many of us, one of my soul intentions is to become much more aware of what's happening energetically around me, with those things in a loving way, and understanding when I'm sourced from my center, then I'm always protected. But it's good to talk about these things that we don't often talk about. So I love it. Okay, so then you send pure love and light to others. It's okay as long as it's aligned with their personal divine design. Ask for this divine love and light to be sent according to what is most beneficial and supportive to the people, places, and situations you have in mind. So again, just more of what we're saying. So just with that deep, profound respect, we can do so much. We can uplift with respect. So, and then I just, I remember when I was, when I was really thinking a lot about this, and as I think about this now, I think it's so easy to connect with people at a distance. And it's so powerful when we recognize this. In our Venus community, we know this now. We are all connected. And it's also really important to be physically with people. And we can, when I'm in circles with other women, just a couple nights ago, we had a new moon circle, and we all gave light and love to this woman in the circle for what she was experiencing. We took a moment and we all put our hands up and we all sent her love and light. And that was really powerful and beautiful for her. So it's a different thing. They're both valuable, but we need both.
Absolutely. But yes.
So, and then this is just kind of a really specific practice that, again, I just created this because I, again, was feeling overwhelmed and remembered there's this practice. It actually comes from the God box idea, which is a 12-step concept that the things that you have no control over, you put into a God box and God takes care of it. So this is kind of the same thing, but it's a goddess bowl. So I love that. So
I do too.
Yeah. So what I put in mine is, and I did this morning. So it's just the names of the people I'm praying for, relationships I want to transform, the same kinds of things we talked about, worries I give to the goddess. Like, I just, help me transform this. And the Venus Alchemy community, I put you guys in there too. So that was sweet.
Woo-hoo.
And Kaylin, I put you in there.
Aw, thank you.
All my beloved clients, family members, and my sacred work, because I'm really doing a lot around that right now and really opening into what does it look like as I move forward and wanting help with that. So put it in there. All Indigenous people, because it's just something personally, I just see them and I can just see them all across the globe, especially the ones that are really on the front lines supporting and taking care of our earth. They're there. The people of Palestine and Israel, again, that's just personal and deep in my heart that I really want them, I want to send highest love and light. And again, there might be that butt out energy with that situation too. So I'm not sure, but this is all,
You can send love and light without an agenda.
Yeah, no agenda, just for their highest good, for their highest unfoldment. Right, exactly. I'm not going to want a specific peace accord. Screw that. I have no idea. Thank God I'm not in that position. The goddess. All right. So anyway, in Turtle Island, the US, I just see them in my mind again, the map, like the whole turtle, just all of it. I just see it. And my greatest self. So the me that is like fully online, fully engaged with all aspects of self alive. So again, you can do what we talked about before. In this case, part of what I was seeing this morning is actually bringing the light down from the crown chakra and also bringing it up from the earth, and that it connects at the heart. And then from the heart, it flows through into the hands. And then I will actually put my hands right up to this bowl, and I will sometimes take time to just look whatever I can remember that I put in there. And it's okay if I don't remember it all. Just, again, they flash before my eyes. My brother feeling peaceful and calm. My, different images of what I want healing for. So I'll do that every once in a while. But also what I love is the idea that you can let it go and just set the intent that energy in the prayer is continually flowing. And if you do distant Reiki, you're familiar with this practice. So you can kind of program it using Reiki, and you can use your energy that way. And then what I also love is this is my Gemini Meta Goddess. And this is also something where we can, on our altar, we can actually have an expression of our Meta Goddess. And she presides over all of it. So she transmits sacred play, childlike joy, and healing magic to transform all things. So she presides over everything that's happening there.
Yes, beautiful.
So then, this is an activation that you might wish to do over the coming month, is to make your own crown. So you might use crystals. I actually have a friend who's making me a crystal crown right now as a trade with quartz crystals. You can actually do that. You can glue them onto some kind of wire, or that's one thing more complex. You can also do something very simple with weaving together, vines or branches, putting flowers or moss or different things on the crown that represent, different aspects of the self, perhaps, that you've been developing over the last 8 months. You could even just do a paper crown for your inner child, and put that on sometimes. But wear it regularly. And when you do, just feel the energy of your inner queen come alive and fill you. So that's a fun practice you might try. Some of us already have crowns, so we can just put those on. And then you might also put a goddess bowl on your altar, and you might use it regularly as a way to focus prayers and practice giving worries to your inner goddess or higher power.
Yes, beautiful. So we have some crown chakra demons that we can work with, and this would be for any time we're at the crown chakra, regardless of who the meta goddess might be, because these are just more the general things we might experience here. You know, the demon of depression and self-doubt and self-destructiveness, self-sabotage, whatever those kinds of things can be that we do to ourselves sometimes. And because this chakra is really a lot about liberty and liberation, we may feel enslaved. We might encounter the demon where we feel enslaved, and it's like we have to do all these things, and we don't have a choice. And then you know, and a lot of people, I think, in the world today do feel that kind of enslaved. I have a job, I have to go, I have to do this, I have to do that. I've got kids, I've got to take care of, blah, blah, blah. And you may love it and enjoy it on some level, but there may be days where it feels like you're enslaved to these commitments or things that you've created. So working with that and inviting that demon to talk to you, refusing to trust, and divine discontent and tired and exhausted. Especially if we're feeling enslaved, we might feel tired and exhausted. So we could invite that demon to you as well, and being fragmented and scattered, disconnected from source. That maybe that sense of overworked and underpaid can go with that whole enslaved feeling. Yeah, and then pushing away divine support demon. So yeah, there's, I mean, all of these, and you can, of course, this is not limited to what we've been sharing here. But if you know, it's a great place to get you started and tuning in to whatever those demons are for you as they come up during this month.
Awesome. Yeah. And when you were saying that about the enslaved demon, it just, to me, part of what it made me recognize is that when you're working actively with that daemon, that demon, just be aware that the enslaved or the overworking, overburdened, that part might not just be you, it might be your ancestors. It's intergenerational, because we truly do live at a time where the evolutionary thrust is about liberation from karmic patterns. And so when you encounter that, just if it feels really strong, just know you're not just doing this work of liberation for yourself, you're doing it for your ancestors, and you're doing it for your children or your descendants, your spiritual or bloodline descendants. So it's powerful work.
Yes, it's so powerful. And to find where that lives inside of you. And I know this is one I definitely deal with quite a lot, and especially the overworked and underpaid. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I've been doing so much work, and a lot of it's volunteer, but that's my choice. So I need to, I need to be at peace with that. But sometimes I've committed to things and then I'm like,
even too much of a good thing, and the parts of it that don't so fun. Yeah,
exactly. So here we are reclaiming the crown chakra, and some ways, other additional things you might do is to express gratitude and appreciation for your connection to the divine within you. Celebrating gratitude, appreciation, those are powerful practices to do. And I would say over this next month, if you can do that every day, wake up with your day or going to bed your day, being able to express that, and connect with that divinity that is inside of you, that lives inside of you all the time, whether we're aware of it or not. Yeah. And we've got 4 questions that we'll see in the next slide that you can work with. You can work with one a week over the next month. Of course, meditating, chakra breathing, intentional ceremonial walk or dance, opening to receive messages from your crown chakra is another really helpful practice. Journaling stream of consciousness and tuning into the divine essence that's seeking expression through you. So you want to make that stream of consciousness perhaps be specific towards whatever the divine essence is that's seeking expression through you at this time.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, watch for the synchronistic messages.
So, Kaylin, before you skip ahead,
okay,
you're so fast. I just wanted to say, I love that idea of the morning practice. And I think one of the things when I was considering and thinking about the wearing your crown idea, you don't have to wear your literal physical crown, but one of the things I'm going to play with is that when I wake up in the morning, I just imagine as part of my morning ritual that I'm putting on an energetic crown, and that crown connects me I may even be antlers. It may be that I see myself, because that's historically what the crown was about, was that, my deer antlers, I'm wearing them. And those are wonderful antenna. But when I first wake up, to see that I've got a crown of some sort, a crown of light, whatever that is, and that to see and feel the ways that infuses me with my connection.
Beautiful. I love that. So the 4 questions, what would it take for me to claim and live with 100% trust in myself and my connection to spirit? And you can journal around this. It's like, sometimes a great practice is you could write the question, or just look at the question, read it out loud, and then close your eyes and see what comes up, and then journal what comes through.
Yeah.
What would it take?
So powerful.
Yeah, it really is. And you'll be surprised at how wise you are sometimes. What would it take for me to claim and live from a place of divine revelation and knowing as it relates to my life? That's a great question too. What would it take for me to claim and live from the feeling of being completely supported and guided by spirit? Yes. I mean, some days we may not feel that as much as others, but to just be asking this question, and when we ask questions, we do get answers. Things come through. So what would it take for me to claim and live daily miracles, including ecstatic bliss? You can make up your own questions, but these are just some suggestions that might be helpful. I'm thinking it might be really good for me to journal with these. So.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. So again, even though we focus so much on this in the Leo course, when we went through the Leo cycle, and we will again, and some of you are in the Leo cycle, which is amazing, but claiming your status as initiated queen is something that's true for every Venus archetype and every Venus cycle. When we get to the crown chakra, we are claiming our inner sovereign queen. So as you are claiming your crown, you are stepping into your sovereign queenship. So what queen-like qualities are you willing to embrace and bring into embodiment now? So just consider that for a moment. What are some qualities of the queen? The positive, healthy, loving queen. What are some qualities of her that come to mind? And even maybe look at this image of Isis, who is one of the ultimate queen archetypes. And she might have something to say to you as well, in terms of the qualities that live inside of you as you claim your queenship. So what does this look like and feel like for you? Can you actually see an image of yourself as this queen with your crown, going about your day in this way? And then when you wake in the morning, put on your crown. Just as we had talked about, just every morning, put this on, this aspect, the queenship that you are. Bring it in, live it, be it. And I'll just say I had a dream a couple months ago that was so powerful, because there was a woman in my life who I don't know well, but to me, she does embody these queen qualities. It's the way she moves through the world. It's the way she holds herself. And in the dream, it was very simple. I saw her walk across the room, and she looked at me, and it was just the way she held her. It was her bearing. You could just feel radiating from her the sense of, I love who I am. It's just that queen energy of beauty, of grace, of radiance, of divine presence and love, and uniqueness, that she was who she was. And you just felt that divine, unique expression of who she was. So she just looked back at me, and she just said, this is how it's done. And so when I woke up, I just felt this transmission of that. And so over the course of the day, I just went back to that energy. Like, how do I hold that energy? So this is just kind of like what I'm suggesting. So just take a moment now to see yourself as the radiant queen that you are. So just maybe close your eyes just for a brief moment and see yourself in that light.
I love that. That's so good.
Okay. And you can play more and more with that over the course of the month. So
one of the things that Tammy and I did when we had a group at Feywood back in 2015 at the crown chakra with Venus and Jupiter and the moon all together was we did a coronation of everybody in the group, including ourselves. That was fun.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
So
you can create some kind of process of doing that for yourself. If you have someone else that you want to do that with, that can be really powerful, because then the other person can place the crown on you. But, there's something to be said to also do that for yourself as well. Yeah.
And I've done this with clients before who were just completing their Venus return. I've actually found my crown and said, this is part of it. Are you willing? And then go through it with them. And it's very powerful. So,
yeah.
Do you want to read them, Kaylin, or can we let people?
We can just let people check them out themselves. But basically, the idea is that you want to, and these are just some suggestions about how you might go about this, or how you might, tune into this to see what it is that you want to do. And what is it that you're claiming? You have an oath that you're taking. Usually when the queen is crowned, it's like they do a repeat after me thing, I think. But, you could just make up whatever you want on the spot. So, yeah. And then you can celebrate yourself also at this chakra. And one of the things we don't probably do enough in our culture is celebrate ourselves, and celebrating things that may not seem like big things in a world that is more materialistically oriented. But, maybe you've had an important conversation with someone, or a project, or that you've completed, or you've done some decluttering, or you've written an article, or you read a book, whatever it might be. You might have been keeping up an exercise or diet routine for a number of days or weeks. Celebrate those things. Maybe you've been journaling more regularly. Celebrate that. And especially if you've been getting deeper insights and it's been a process that's been helping you. But even if not, because sometimes it takes a while to get to the place where we are letting go, so that we're allowing that part of ourselves that knows to come through more fully in our journaling. So it's not always going to happen in the first week or month. Although for some it might happen right away, the very first day. You just don't know. But celebrate those things, because these are things that you're doing for yourself that are helpful. And also this idea of how we take 100% responsibility for our life experience, that no matter what other people have done to us, and clearly we probably have all been betrayed, we've all had tragic situations in our life, really challenging things, that the opportunity is for us to say, okay, if it's outside of me, it's inside of me, and how do I work with that? How do I become aware? How do I transform it? And then really getting to the place where you're not blaming other people anymore, or projecting. A lot less often. You don't project blame so much. It's like, or you catch yourself doing it. This is where I'm at. I'm like, oh, look at that. Whatever. So, I got something to look at inside of me. And often when we do that, then whatever the situation is outside of us shifts. So that's the power of being able to do that. And also taking time to appreciate and celebrate the beauty that's around you. So, these are just some things that you might want to consider doing over this month to really activate, because celebration is a very high vibration. And that's, of course, something the crown chakra really loves.
I love that so much. So that's, and that celebration piece is so essential that I've found at the 7th chakra, again, especially if this is the final chakra gate, that it's a good time it may be just good to be generally celebrating. And it also can be good, again, to review the whole last, either the full Venus cycle or the evening star cycle, and just really look specifically at what work have I been doing, and how does it also relate with the overtone. That's one of the ways we can do it. Okay, so then more home play would be to create your own coronation oath. We just started to talk about that. It can be really powerful if you do it yourself, and you can look at ours as a model or other ones online. And then you might ask how you honor your sovereignty as part of that. Ask what is sacred holy ground of your being that is self-sustaining, fertile, productive, and cannot be penetrated by anything except what you allow. These are just some ideas of ways to begin to tune into what your coronation oath would look and feel like. You might also have a practice of blessing your world. You might go out every day and take some time just to notice and appreciate and bless the natural world around you, the people in your neighborhood, in your community, the trees, the sky, all of life. And again, you might even go back to that slide in the PowerPoint where Sandra gives some ideas of I can't remember exactly what she says, but it's beautiful. And you might even use some of her language. And so and some other examples might be, I love and bless myself with pure love and light and pure source energy. I love and bless my willingness to embrace my divinity, and so forth. So you might, do this simple one, and then, or you might use Sandra's language, whatever, but just take some time to reach out and extend yourself. You are the queen of your domain, and you are here to bless the domain with your presence and your love. So have fun with that.
So, and we have some additional resources that'll be in the document, I guess, that we share with everybody at the end, but just, some things you can look into deeper here as well. And we want to complete with this saying that or I think it comes from a poem from Chavez. And basically, I wish I could show you when you are lonely or in darkness, the astonishing light of your own being. And that's something that we do lose sight of, is that we are these incredible light beings that came here to be alive, to just be present, just to bring our light to the world. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah.
Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for being present with us. I think that's it.
I think so too. And we hope you have a fabulous month reclaiming your crown chakra.
Absolutely. Happy Queen Month. Be the queen that you are.